Hey everybody, welcome to the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. Minimum investment is $100 in a business. If you are interested in investing in Black-owned businesses, join us at the10kproject.com. So today's session is all about the supply chain, and the truth is about the supply chain from a global perspective, but also talking about it from our point of view. So, I came across a couple of interesting videos. There's only one I'm going to show you tonight, and maybe the other one I'll do tomorrow. But there was a really great segment on a show that I watched called Breaking Points. And what I wanted to do today was show it to you, discuss it with you. Hello, everybody. I see you out there in Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, share it, and tell a friend or two about what we are doing here at the 10K Project. So um, there's this video that I found that I think is really interesting, and it gives a lot of the history, I believe, of the supply chain. It's a 6-minute video, so it's not too long. Um, Fair use. I'm new to this part of YouTube and things like that. So we are going to show the video. I'm going to stop it quite frequently within it so that I can give you a little bit of feedback and discussion and things like that. But it's so important for us to understand the supply chain, not just from, oh, the shelves are going to be empty, but from an investor point of view, what are we going to be able to do based on the supply chain and some of the issues, some of the things where we have less power over individually, but then there are other things that where we do have power, and that is the discussion tonight. What kind of things can we do? What kind of power do we have? And what's happening out there that we can be more aware of? Who's in charge of it? A lot of people want to blame Biden. I'm not the biggest Biden fan, so I know some people are. I'm not. But this is bigger than the president of the United States. So whether you're for Biden or Trump or whomever is coming up potentially next, um, there are forces at play with the supply chain thing that we are not aware of. Most of us are not aware of. So again, I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to go through this specific video with regards to the supply chain. And we're going to stop it, a little bit at a time and talk about the supply chain and what's happening there. This is commentary done by a guy named Sagar Enjeti of Breaking Points. That's the name of the show. And he does a great job of breaking down the history of the supply chain and what's really happening with it. So let's take a look at the topic here.
All right, Sagar, what are you looking at?
Well, it's time for one of my favorite segments here on Breaking Points, inflation. Now, for the life of me, I cannot understand why so many people online are ideologically committed, one way or the other, to the idea that there is hyperinflation in our economy due to government spending during the pandemic.
I think that there's a lot of just party line towing, but I also think that the majority of Americans are not one side of the coin versus another. I think that most of us are reasonable people, and we're just trying to figure out what in the world is going on. So we're going to let Sagar continue.
But here we are. And to be fair, we do need to acknowledge the basic truth that prices are rising all across the US economy to the detriment of the working class. Inflation, as we have covered here earlier in the week, is now the #1 concern, along with COVID, that voters have when it comes to judging the Biden administration.
And we saw the win for the Republicans in Virginia a couple of days ago. That is proof positive that, these kitchen table topics it's what people are talking about. But guess what? It's what people have always been talking about, are these kitchen table topics. Let's keep moving.
And when something reaches that level of political salience, I am cautioning everyone. Ignore convenient explanations. Ignore culture war grifters. Pause. Actually try to figure out what the hell is going on. I'll tell you why that's so important. Ask yourself if the people who are making hay about inflation actually care about it? And more importantly, have they diagnosed the problem correctly so they can fix it for you and your family?
I agree with this as well. So, look, we have a lot of talking heads out there, and it seems like the people that are the loudest are the people that are the most ignorant about these things. A lot of these people are getting paid huge sums of money. They are being bolstered up by huge, political action committee dollars and all sorts of things. So, one of the best things that we can do as a people, um, for our families, for ourselves, for our community, is to not only pay attention to the people with the biggest megaphones, but also pay attention to the people that are shunned a little bit as well, or don't have as big of a megaphone. Let's continue.
There are a whole lot of people here in DC salivating at the idea that the public will once again believe their lies that government spending is going to lead to a large increase in consumer prices. It's a perfect excuse to slash and burn services, and worse, it's the perfect excuse to do nothing in the middle of the next crisis. Now, some aspects of inflation you've already heard here discussed ad nauseum. Semiconductors, cars, globalization, over-reliance on trade with China. But today I want to focus in on and explain the rise in prices that arguably matters the most to every single American: their grocery store bill, how much they pay at a restaurant, or when they order a cup of coffee. Food is something we all need. An increase there is a major tax on every single one of us. It is often the category most pointed to as evidence that inflation is here to stay. So let's investigate. Food is a market. It probably shouldn't be, in my opinion, but to feed 8 billion people on the planet, nearly every aspect of the agricultural and culinary market is commoditized. This is important to understand because it means that food itself is a business. And when it's a business, it is subject to the same business dynamics that other things that we've discussed, like semiconductors or cars, are. The food on your plate, or what you order at a restaurant, is a product of all of the different inputs. Think about it. To grow food, you need land, you need fertilizer, you need chemicals, you need machinery, you need personnel, you need truck drivers.
These are all the businesses, Black people, we should be in. He just listed all of the businesses that we should be in. So as these prices rise, part of the reason that we are not able to participate in the rise of on the positive end from an economic point of view, on the positive end, is because we are not in those businesses. There are two primary ways for us to get in those businesses. Either we start, or three ways. Number one, we start these businesses. Number two, we buy these businesses. Next week, we have a session on how we can buy businesses. That session will not be on YouTube or Facebook. The only way that you can participate in that is through Zoom. You can go to the10kproject.com, go to our event listing, and sign up for that. Or number three, you can be an investor. We need to have more of us in the stock market, more of us participating in as investors in these stocks and actually buying these stocks for the long term. And some of the best ways for us to do it is for us to participate in all three of these as investments. Let's continue.
So since it's a business, if you were to see an increase in price in one of those inputs, you would see a price in the overall price of food. And lo and behold, that is exactly what's happening. Right now, there is an energy crisis, not here, but in Europe. Now, Europe is heavily reliant on natural gas. Natural gas prices have skyrocketed, and that means food is becoming more expensive. Why? Because natural gas is the key feedstock for the production of the most common artificial fertilizers, such as urea and ammonium nitrate. Now, why, might you ask, is Europe in such an energy crisis? Well, that is because of European energy reliance on Chinese coal. And right now, there is a big coal shortage in China.
Globalization, everybody, globalization. So, when I started working many years ago, my very first full time job was in, I worked for an international company that invested in stock markets across the world, emerging markets. And it was a fascinating business to be a part of, and one of the first businesses, again, that I was a part of. And I will tell you something. We should not only think about investing in the United States. If you can do it, you may want to also look at foreign companies that are either listed on our stock exchanges, or some of you may want to consider buying stock in countries, in emerging markets as well. So we're seeing how things happening in China are affecting things happening in Europe, which are affecting things happening here. And food. So this is about the truth about the supply chain, but you know, this supply chain is not just food, it's everything that's happening. And stay until the very end of Sagar's explanation, because he says something that is very, very powerful here that I think that um, we all should pay attention to. So we're going to continue.
China is actually rationing coal, not because they don't have enough, but because they have too much demand. Chinese
You hear that? They're rationing it because there's too much demand. What else do we see with the rationing? We have seen in the past gas being rationed because there's too much demand for it. We need to control these natural resources. And one of the biggest places where there are natural resources where we're losing control, and I have to say we as a global Black, community, is in Africa. It's in Africa. And look, I don't know enough about Africa. We did have our session on Africa a couple of weeks ago and on trading with Africa. But when other people have control of the raw materials and the ability to manufacture, then we lose control in this country and we lose control as a people. Let's continue.
Manufacturing is roaring to life to make all of the cheap stuff that Americans are buying online, which means that to come at the exact same moment, they have a massive shortage of mined coal. Now, you may not know this, it takes a while to mine coal, which means there are rolling blackouts in China and they are gobbling up all the coal that they can use, and they're not exporting any of it. But that's not all that's going on with food. You may not know this, but last year, on top of being a plague year, was also a drought year. About 10% of the United States is currently in what they call, quote, exceptional drought, the most severe designation, which is characterized by, quote, widespread crop and pasture losses, shortages in reservoirs, streams, and wells, amounting to a water emergency. The rest of the country ain't doing so hot either. We have 44% of the entire country affected by some level of drought, and an additional 13% in some sort of water shortage. What about coffee? That's another food type category. Everybody realizes the price goes up. Well, that's connected to drought too, but not one here at home. In Brazil, Brazil provides
Again, more globalization. Let's keep moving.
more coffee to the United States than any other country in the world. They've had a severe drought this year too. On top of that, political protests in Colombia and the supply chain crisis have pushed coffee price up 43%. Some of you may have seen this viral New York Times story, and I actually think they did a pretty good job. Let's put it up there on the screen. Thanksgiving is going to be more expensive, mostly because of turkey. Now, why is turkey going to be more expensive? Well, because turkeys are fed corn. And why is corn more expensive? Because of two things. China needs a ton of corn in order to feed all of these new hogs so that it can keep up with an explosion in domestic hog production. And South America needs corn because of that drought that I just mentioned. All of this has led to an increase in the price of corn by 50%. And I have bad news for all of you. Turkey is not the only factory farm meat that eats corn. Pretty much everything eats corn. So are you beginning to understand what's happening here? The price of food is increasing because of a confluence of terrible events. If I were to point to a single thing that is causing inflation in food today, it is globalization and a lack of resiliency in the American agricultural system.
Lack of resiliency, what he's saying is that we don't own our own land anymore. We don't own our own processes anymore. America has been for sale. I've discovered during my research of this, it's been for sale for the past 30 years, 30, 40 years now. And unfortunately, we as Americans don't make the items that we need in order for our country to survive. And unfortunately, whose community is going to get hit by that first? It's our community. So we are going to have to figure out some ways for us to get in the game here with regards to this supply chain issue. Let's continue.
Why should a coal shortage in China screw Europe, which should in turn screw our fertilizer prices, which leads to you paying more for food? Why should a drought in Brazil spike our corn prices and then screw up our Thanksgiving? The weakness of our system today is one that was sold to us on the myth of convenience. It has pretty much nothing to do with government spending and a whole lot more to do with the people who designed our system to be fragile but cheap. So when you see someone talking about food inflation, ask them what they want to do about it. If the answer isn't make more America resilient, then they are clowns and they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
All right, so that is the video, everybody. That is the video that we are here to talk about today. Again, everybody, put your city and state in the chat. Ineffable Media saying our GDP is shot. That's the truth. But, look, we're going to have to individually, for our families and our community, figure this out. I don't know about you. I'm not waiting on Joe Biden for this. I'm not waiting on Kamala. I'm not waiting on Trump, etc. There are certain things that I started doing in my life actually before C19 came about that, I think that other people may want to consider or just, figure out some things that you're able to do. So I see Ineffable Media is here from Alexandria, Virginia. So, hey, how you doing tonight, everybody? Okay, so we just watched a video and it's in the description for people who just got on. We just watched a video by Breaking Points talking about food prices and the fact that number one, we have a lot of people, a lot of grifters out there, a lot of people with the loudest bullhorns telling us stuff that is not true about the supply chain, about how it happened, etc. There was another video that I watched where they talked about the fact that 30, 40 years ago, our politicians started allowing other governments, other people, other nations to come in and buy up so much of our farmland, so much, and move our manufacturing offshore so much that we as a people, we are stuck with regards to being able to make a move, being able to do the things that we need to do in order to be self-sufficient. So there are a few things that I want to suggest here with regards to um, Black America and the economy and how we deal with the supply chain issue. Number one is we cannot afford to be at the bottom with regards to the wages that we make, with regards to the earnings that we have. We have got to get out of these $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year jobs. If we're going to make it, we need to make more money as a people. I was speaking with a woman earlier today, and we were talking about the fact that even the businesses that we're starting, we're not starting the right businesses. What do I mean by that? When we start a business, our net profits tend to be on average anywhere from 3% to 7%, sometimes 10%. Our counterparts are starting businesses where their average net profits are 30% to 40%. They're also able to hire people as a result of it, whereas we're not able to hire people. And it's been statistically proven that number one employer of Black people is the government. Number two employer of Black people are other Black people. However, we don't make enough money in order to hire enough people. So that is why our unemployment rates are just so far down. So number one is we need to prepare for jobs that bring us higher wages, and we need to or we need to start opening businesses that have 30 to 40% net profit margins. That's it. We've got to start making more money. If you are an individual, you have a W-2 job, I encourage you to think that the minimum wage for you should be $70,000, $75,000, whether you're in tech, you're trucking, trades, sales, etc. You got to get your wages up. You need to get your family's wages up as well. If you're already there, look at your credit score. Is your credit score high enough where you can make a move if you need to do that? Why am I talking about your wages and your credit so much? What does that have to do with the supply chain? It's simple. Impoverished people are going to be hit hardest by the supply chain issue and by inflation. Impoverished people, the poor, our poor, are going to get hit the hardest with this issue. So we need to figure out how we're going to make more money, how we're going to bring more money into our families. The other thing with the truth of the supply chain, how do we fix this issue? We need to start investing. We need to start investing in these businesses that are riding the supply chain wave. So in that video that I just showed, and hello to everybody. I see new people coming in. Put your city and state in the chat. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to share it with a friend or two. So the second solution to this issue for us on an individual and a collective level is we need to start investing more. We need to start investing in businesses that are part of the supply chain. Okay. We need to start making more products. We need to start making more products within the community. We need to start investing on the stock market in these big companies that are riding the wave of supply chain, because as their stock prices grow, then our net worth can grow as well. And they're raising their prices exponentially, and these prices are not coming down. So what's going to happen is that stock price is going to go up, and we're going to be able, at least our families are going to be able to benefit from the stock prices going up. So that's number two. Number three is I'm seeing a lot of talk about urban farming, and I agree with that as well. So I bought some land a few years ago, and I haven't started my garden yet, but I keep saying I'm going to. Um, we need to take control of our food and our food supply. There's also people like Lamar Wilson that is opening up farms. He's doing a hemp farm, but we need people to actually grow food, both urban farming and rural farming. We need to support these businesses. We need to figure out ways for us to grow our own food. We need to get healthier. We need to stay aware, stay alert. Even figuring out, I'd love to see some of my, people who are great at being a seamstress and, things like that. How do we start making our own stuff again? How do we start making our own stuff again? And you may have to pay a few extra pennies in order for us to support us and in order for us to be able to, you know, um, be self-sufficient. But that's where the higher wages comes through. So if you're making enough money in your business, if you're making enough money personally, then you're able to actually take advantage of all of the opportunities. Because when we say the rich are going to get richer because of the supply chain issue, that's what's going to happen. And my question is, where do you want to be in that continuum? I know that I want to benefit from it because people are going to benefit from it no matter what. So I want to do the same. If there are other things that you can think of that we need to do in order to take advantage of this wave that's happening, I would encourage you to do that. I definitely would. And I see somebody here from Florida as well. Hello, hello. Somebody in Facebook here from Florida. So that's the discussion for today. It's a little bit of the truth of supply chain. If you missed the first part of the video, I suggest you rewind, because I'm about to head out here. Rewind, go back, listen to the first part of that video, or if you want it without my commentary, then go into the description box and the entire video is there, because there's so much happening, but there's hope. There are things that we can do. And especially within the 10K project, by us coming together and by us funding our own businesses or buying businesses that are already in the supply chain, we can be investors and we can be owners and we can be employees and team members of these businesses. And we can be on the side of the rich getting richer. So Ineffable Media is saying, yep, awareness of all the progressive changes is key, especially in tech. That is true. That is absolutely true. Let me see here. Yeah, that's it. I see. I'm getting my restream together. I'm going to start doing this more often. So tech trades, people are always going to need plumbing. They're always going to need, um, you know, electricians and things like that. And I'm thinking of a few times a week coming and doing some reaction videos like I did tonight. I promise I'll get better at it. I'll be more entertaining. Need to kick it up several notches, but I have so many things to show the community that we're missing out on. And just so many things that I watch, I listen to from other people, other points of view that I want to bring to this community. And I just want to shine a light on all of these things for us so that we're able to take advantage of these things and we're able to profit from it. Because I decided a few years ago that that's what I want to do. I want to profit from it with stock options. I want to profit from it with tax liens. I have no interest in being a landlord, but some of you want to be landlords. I highly, suggest that. Um, Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever assets you're going to put money into, gold, potentially silver. Again, this is not investment advice. Do your own research. If you want to be in Bitcoin, Ethereum, other types of crypto, do your own research about that. Whatever it is you want to invest in, we need to start thinking about the supply chain, what is happening, and more importantly, how we can profit from it, because the inflation, the supply chain issues are not going away. Stuff is going to start going to the highest bidder. And we need to start being the highest bidder. Okay? Because, yeah, things are about to get competitive out here. And I want to make sure that all of you win just like I want to win. So that is it. That is the live stream for tonight. I hope everyone has a great evening. Again, don't forget to thumbs up the video, like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I will be back with another stream about some part of economics. Okay? Thank you so much. Have a good day.